Hi, my name's Kat from the Yes Path, where we help each other to feel good, to feel happy, and not only to survive, but to thrive. I personally have experienced the physical and emotional traumas of being in an abusive relationship. And today I'm going to talk about self-esteem, how we can lose it and become totally useless, or how we can build it up and feel good and not only do good for ourselves and our loved ones, but we can do good in the world. So the reason I'm here today is because we used to have a caravan here, right here. This is now a shed, but we used to live in a caravan here. And we escaped from an abusive relationship. I was in a relationship with somebody for 4 years, a toxic relationship, a codependent relationship. That word's been around for quite a while. It used to mean people who were dependent, emotionally dependent on alcoholics, how they would look after the alcoholics, try and take over their lives, completely forgetting their own lives, completely forgetting their own needs and concentrating on the needs of this person who was sick, really, who wasn't really functioning right. And in the end, they ended up not functioning properly themselves. So here I was in this really bad relationship for 4 years. I felt I couldn't get out. I was totally feeling worthless, feeling useless, feeling scared and afraid. I didn't know how I'd get away from this person. I tried a couple of times and he always found out, and then there was a huge row, bust up, more abuse, everything, more fear from myself, and feeling like I just needed to be really quiet and put up with it. So we were really quite lucky. A lot of people who are in abusive relationships don't know how to get away. We looked at a refuge, or rather I looked at a refuge. I didn't tell my children. I felt that I needed to protect them as much as possible from what was going on. So I looked at how we could go and live in a refuge in the centre of the big city. It would have meant I'd have to move my children's schools. There's always all these physical things that stop you or make you feel that you can't do it. I was scared of what the children would hear from other children, other parents, and I didn't do it. And eventually we were lucky enough to be able to buy a really old run-down place which we rented out, and we lived in a caravan, and there were just fields outside. And we collected wood and we made fires and we had to survive. So that was the beginning of the recovery area, really. I mean, why do people stay in these abusive relationships when there's so much pain and sadness? Because very often that person will say they're sorry, they're going to change. There's a honeymoon phase, you begin to think everything's okay, but it isn't, and there's more abuse. And you become depressed and useless and worthless. I ended up losing my job because I wasn't functioning well. And so we had very little money. So we had to rent out our home, put all our things in storage and live in this caravan. But the children didn't have to change schools. They could go to school the same as usual. Actually, they ended up with friends wanting to come and stay with us because they thought it was quite cool to be in this life. So I'm really here to say, if you are in an abusive relationship, just remember there's that flicker of hope that you can get away, you can rebuild your life, you can rebuild your self-esteem, you can begin to keep your promises, not only to yourself but to your loved ones, and you can end up being successful in your life. And you can end up not just surviving, but you can end up being good and happy. When you leave a bad relationship, you end up making new friends. There is a space for new things to happen. and you start feeling self-acceptance for yourself, It's a great thing to try and forgive yourself. Don't beat yourself up about what's happened, but just learn to love yourself again. I know that sounds like a tall order, but it comes really gradually. It takes time, but your friends around you will begin to say thank you for good things you've done. You'll begin to feel good that you've done those things. It's always great to have praise. It's good if we can learn that we don't need praise from other people and that we're living up to our own morals and values and that we're keeping our promises with our nearest and dearest and doing well in the world. And this is just to tell you, please keep the hope in your lives. Please remember that there is light at the end of the tunnel and things can get better and more positive. And you can say yes to life. It's been great to talk to you. I hope to talk to you soon.